Right, good evening. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. This is the Bottom Line, and we are live from our studios here at Rich in Accra. Let me especially welcome you. If you just tuned in, of course, we just came on. Tonight, we want to be talking about what we have termed as the CEDI conversation. The CEDI conversation is about the FX, the foreign exchange rate, how the CEDI has been performing against the major foreign currencies. Talk about the dollar, talk about the euro, talk about the yen, talk about the pound, and all these major foreign currencies. Our focus primarily tonight will be on how these are affecting, or the depreciation in the city has been affecting businesses, has been affecting the business ecosystem, has been affecting employment, has been affecting trade, and has been affecting even international trade. So we are engaging the business community tonight to understand what their plight is in these periods, in these times. We've experienced a finance minister who has been giving us some updates beginning in March, and he's giving us a very recent one. We want to be asking the experts in the industry what they think about the minister's updates and how they expect the minister's update to affect in economics what we call perception. How will the perception determine the rise and fall of the dollar, and how will it impact the conversation and the economy? So my first question to my experts tonight will be about the actions of the new finance minister, whether it will have any impact on the perception. Then we get into the exchange rate itself, whether it's going to continue rising with the expectation of the second tranche of the IMF $3 billion loan, of course, over a 3-year period. With its expectation, or with the expectation of it coming on board somewhere July, August, thereabout, or before the end of the year, how we are expecting for it to impact the spending of dollar and those people who are hoarding dollars in their houses and so on and so forth. This will be our conversation tonight. You want to stay with us. I'll go for a quick break. Very quick one. When I come back, I'm going to play to you a soundbite from the Minister of Finance on all of these things that we are talking about. So when he did the address, he touched on various points of the economy. And I'm going to come back and we'll touch on just 2 points, and we'll get into our discussions tonight. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Right, so you're welcome back from the break, and this is the Bottom Line. Let me quickly introduce my guests to you, the main man is in the studio. Of course, I have other big people also online, and let me welcome Albert Derek Fiatui, who is the Executive Director, Center for International Maritime Affairs, Ghana. Albert, good evening. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Good evening to
I hope you're doing very well.
Very well, thank you.
And let me see if we have Emmanuel Cherry, who is the Chief Executive Officer, Ghana Chamber of Construction Industry. Joseph Obin is the President of GUTA, and Dr. Daniel Amate Enim, Chief Economist, PIED Africa, all of who are on Zoom. Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, if you can hear me.
Yeah, good evening. I hope you are doing well.
I hope I am doing very well. I hope you're doing very well too. So let me begin the conversation from in the studio. But before I do with you, Albert, I'm sure you listened to the finance minister, his latest updates, and what he had to say about the performance of the macro economy and the micro economy. But let's just listen to him briefly, and we'll come back into the discussion from there.
People may see the cedi depreciating fast recently. If you compare the depreciation year to date, from January to date, the cedi has depreciated by about 14.2%. Same time last year, it depreciated by 20.7%. So on that, comparative basis, we are safe to conclude that the cedi is still strong. The Ministry of Finance will continue to work with the Bank of Ghana to implement measures to address the rapid depreciation of the cedi. And some of the measures that we have already put in place, and I was told this morning that we are already seeing the results of the effect of this policies and measures we have put in place. So we are fast-tracking the fiscal consolidation process through rationalizing spending and enhancing revenue mobilization, intensification of the Gold for Oil program, and appropriate FX interventions by the Bank of Ghana. We are also intensifying through the Bank of Ghana the Gold for the Reserve program, what they also call the Gold Purchases program. The disbursement of the third tranche under the IMF program, which we are expecting in June, is also going to support the building of foreign exchange reserves. And also disbursement from other ongoing projects, including the $150 million facility, World Bank facility, which Parliament approved last week, Friday, will all come in to support the reserves. They will all crystallize and come together to support the build-up of the reserves in order to strengthen the cedi. Pressures on the cedi that I have referred to are largely as a result of the strengthening of the US dollar against major trading currencies across the world, including ours. And therefore, we expect that as the US currency also moderates in its strength, the effect will be felt on our currency. Another reason is seasonal forex demand, including elevated demand from corporate institutions. Then also, we have paid contractors. I want to say that the complaints of no money and no money and no money, we don't hear that anymore because we have paid and paid contractors. As of now, year to date, I think we've spent some 49 billion Ghana cedis. Same time last year, we did 41 billion Ghana cedis. And so this demonstrates that a lot of liquidity, cedi liquidity, is in the market. These are some of the reasons, including the payments to IPPs, independent power producers. You will recall that we started negotiating with them, as a result of which we had to make a bullet payment, one-off payment, amounting to some 400 million United States dollars. And so they all put pressure on the cedi.
Well, so you heard the Minister of Finance speaking to, of course, the entire country through his monthly updates about the reasons for the pressures on the cities. And he just enumerated them, so I'll not go over them. And then again, mentioned what the Ministry of Finance is doing, of course, in collaboration with the Bank of Ghana to, should I use, for want of a better word, secure the cedi against the major foreign currencies. Let me come to you, Albert. And first of all, how do you find the performance of the Minister of Finance so far? Are you impressed at all? And then we get into the actions taken so far.
Thank you for inviting me to the studio today. And I want to take the opportunity to say a good evening to our viewers and also the entire country. I would say that, yes, the new minister has brought some new relief into the economy. At least he is new in the system, and so there is some level of confidence in him. And we believe that that alone is encouraging and is making the business community a bit comfortable. A lot of people who, in quotes, had issues with the former finance minister are seeing that there is a new person in the seat, and so there can be some changes. Yeah.
And so you guys are fine. Was it about Oforiatta himself? Because the clarion call and on Oforiatta must go, and all of that. Is that what's making you happy, or there is something exciting about the economy now?
I don't think it's about the person, Honorable Ken Oforiatta. You know, it gets to a point where in running an economy, you want to see some changes, you want to see some reshuffles, not necessarily because the people currently handling the affairs are not good, but there's just the need for a new breath of life into the system. And I think that is what the business community is excited about, and not really about the personality of
But when that happens, we should see some level of impact, of course. And I spoke about perception in my introduction, that in some of these situations, you expect the perception of the business community to change positively. And when it does so, you are then expecting prices to either change or be reduced. Are we seeing that yet? I don't think we are.
Yeah, we are seeing some level of changes. The only difficulty we have is what we are here to discuss, the depreciation of the CEDI, and that cannot be attached to the fact that there's a new minister in the seat. Most of the challenges we are facing now are based on the decisions or policies measures that were adopted previously. And so we can only pray that he is coming in, will bring in a new side of relief.
He says the city is stable now. Do you agree? And he's given, of course, data to it. He's spoken to data that comparatively, if you look at year on year, about the same period, we had a dip of about 20.7%, and now we are doing about 14.2%, which he thinks is fair enough.
Well, so let me take the opportunity to say that as a research policy think tank, we have done some work, and year on year, we've realized that between February to May, there's always pressure on the CEDI, and two issues have come up strongly. One is that this is the period where our multinationals in Ghana repatriate their proceeds to their countries, very huge amounts of money. Second one is that it is the same period that our business people who buy from abroad on credit for Christmas also begin to pay. And so these two pressures, when we follow the trend, they put a lot of pressure, and that is why when you follow it critically, between February to May, you see a lot of pressure on the CEDI. And it is important that we understand this trend as an economy and make sure that we put measures in place to be able to address it.
Is it the same thing that happens around October, November, due to purchases for Christmas?
Yes, largely. I can say 50% of that can be attributed to it. But the February to March, May, is largely these two issues that I've raised.
And so you think that we are on course? I mean, if you look at the figures for last year as against this year, as a think tank, I mean, you think that with all the data that you have and comparatively from last year, we are good?
I think we can do better. Businesses are really struggling. When you come to the port now, a lot of business people are, not able to operate. Most, especially the freight forwarders, their workers are home. They are not working because, that is a third-party business, and so they depend largely on importers. If the business people who import are not importing, then the freight forwarder doesn't have a business to do. And that is not good enough for the economy because it amounts to a lot of job losses and poverty.
Let me quickly run to especially the construction industry. Emmanuel Cherry is the Chief Executive Officer, Ghana Chamber of Construction Industry. If you are live and if you can hear me, let me first of all say thank you very much for joining us tonight. But Albert believes that the finance ministry is not doing too bad, even if they are doing at all. Not too bad comparatively, as the minister has given us data. And he cited two major reasons why we have pressures on the CEDI around this period. And you are in the construction industry, of course. You import some of the materials to do your construction. You buy cement, you buy raw materials, and so on and so forth. And you deal a lot with the CEDI and the foreign exchange. Do you have the same sentiments?
Okay, thank you very much, my good brother. And then the good evening to your cherished viewers and listeners across the entire country. It seems I'm having a little challenge with my camera, but it's been sorted out very shortly. So for time being, I'll be off camera for now. Yeah, sincerely, I beg to differ a bit because
If you can,
the indicators
if you can hear me,
economy-
kindly put on your camera for me on WhatsApp so we can see your face. People can see
Yeah,
who is talking to us.
I'm having a challenge with the distance. They are now trying to. I don't know what exactly
That's
has
fine.
happened.
That's fine. That's fair
very
enough.
shortly.
You can go ahead. You can go ahead.
Very well. So I beg to differ a little bit because the economic indicators of the country, what do they speak to? So if my brother in the studio is trying to tell us that there are some positive gains and what have you, he should itemize them for us to see. All I can say is that the reasons why the system is quite hot, or the what do you call it, other organized labor or trade unions and what have you, everybody is a bit quiet, is because they are trying to show goodwill to the minister. That is all. Apart from that, I don't see anything so special that he has placed on the table as we speak now. All the things that is being on the table is the same thing that he came to meet. So it's early days yet for us to start assessing him. But if we should go straightly and says that he's doing something good, to be honest, to us, we beg to differ, because in the construction industry, if he goes to the freight, as he rightly said earlier, at the ports, what is happening at the ports? Can the importers clear their goods? If you, what do you call it, comes to the financial market, what is the exchange rate? What is the interest rate? All those things are some of the indicators that we normally use to assess the credibility of the, what do you call it, the managers of the economy. So all these things are in negative, and you are saying the person is doing well. Let us be sincere. Call a spade, so that we tell them to do the right thing. By the minute you start whitewashing them, they have a swollen head and go to sleep. So the time has come for us to sincerely approach the issues heads on and say it as it is, without missing words. Because Ghana belongs to all of us. So my brother in the studio, you are, in fact, I like the way you started, but sincerely, don't dilly-dally in the distance. Go straight to the issues and let's tackle the issues heads on and deal with it accordingly. Because Ghana is suffering. Businesses are collapsing. Some of the manufacturing sector in the construction space, some of them they are folding up. Some of them are giving down their offices and are moving to their factory. And what have you? There is so much. It's not looking good at all. Sincerely, it's not looking good at all. How much is the dollar to the CEDI today? Who is on the saddle now? Is it Kenneth Oriata or is Dr. Aminu? Dr. Amin, Dr. Adam. So, in fact, let's face facts. Things are not working well as expected. So let's tell him, so that whatever he can do together with his team, they quickly do it and do it well. But as it is now, businesses are suffocating and then they are struggling to survive.
Let me come to you, Dr. Daniel Amate Enim. Doc, if you are on, Doc is a chief economist, PIED. Emma says that, well, you may want to talk about the figures, but the reality on the grounds for them that are in the industry is that they are not feeling it. They are feeling the pinch. They are feeling the trouble, if you want to talk about the city, and it's not palatable for them. Doc, let's hear you. Okay, looks like Dr. Daniel Amate is off. So whilst we try to reconnect him, let me come back to you. Of course, it's not just the research you are in. You deal with the maritime industry every now and then. So you deal with imports, you deal with the exports, you deal with the ships, and you are in the dollar and the CEDI conversation. Practically, I mean, you've spoken about the data and how stable you think it is. I'm not sure if you said it is too good, but let's listen to you again. Ima thinks that you should hit the nail on its head.
Yeah, I think it's good I clarify that maybe he didn't hear me well. I mean, he didn't get most of the things I said. I said the new minister has brought in some new relief because he's a new person in the seat. But as to what we are facing in the economy now, I think there is no doubt about it. Everybody is feeling the pinch. There is heat in the system. We are in crisis, and we all accept that. So my brother should take it easy. I didn't say that everything is fine. Yes, so that is what I want to say. But the industry, the maritime industry or the blue economy, after the fourth industrial revolution, which is the AI, is the blue economy. Unfortunately, in our part of the world, we've not been able to take advantage of it very well. And I think that is one of the reasons why we are still where we are, having a lot of challenges as a people. So our call all the time is that our government should pay attention to the blue economy, the sea, the ocean, and what it has to offer the world. There are some countries elsewhere that, do not have any resources at all, apart from the oceans, and they are doing very, very well. So when we pay attention to this economy, we can be able to transform our society. And back to the currency discussion. We all know that our country is import dependent. And so all the time, we are looking for the hard cash, that is the dollar, to be able to import most of the things that we depend on. And that is one of the challenges that we have as a country. Some politicians said that we are still running a Gettysburg economy. And that is true. The structure that was put in place about 100 years ago by Gettysburg was that we are able to export our resources in a raw state and import a lot of finished goods. That was to serve his interest and that of his people. So if we are independent now, after several years, and we are still towing that same line, it means we are not going anywhere. And that is one of the reasons why our currency keeps depreciating. What we need to do now is to make sure that we add value to our raw materials, we industrialize.
Okay, this is a conversation we have been having all the time. Yes. Add value, increase productivity, reduce taxation, reduce export of raw materials. We have Ghana Integrated Aluminium Development Corporation set up now to take care of our bauxite. Over 75 years as a country, we have been exporting raw bauxite. If you go to the Takoradi port now, you will see raw bauxite being exported out of the country. I mean, Ghana Aluminium Company has been there. Valco have all been there. They smelt up and do all of that they have to do. But what is their capacity? 75 years, and we are still exporting raw materials, raw bauxite. And we keep saying add value. When?
And that is the problem we have. So leadership will have to be honest. We have to be sincere with ourselves. I think all along we've been deceiving ourselves. When we come out with our policy measures, oh, let's do this, let's do that, without actually implementing what we say. And that is the challenge. So there is the need for a paradigm shift in decision-making. That no, we have come to a point that we have to hit the nail right at the head to be able to get out there. Because, look, there is no other measure to be put in place to control the depreciation of the CEDI. We just have to increase our exports, and that is it. There's no other magic. All the other ones are theories. Those on paper, we say economic indices, micro, macro, and whatever, they will not work. Let us be able to export. Let us industrialize. Let us produce and also export so we can earn foreign exchange. Without that, we are just deceiving ourselves. And I can just say it as it is.
Let me come back to you, Emmanuel. And if Doc, if you are on, can I hear you? Okay, I think we still don't have Dr. Daniel Amate and him on yet. But let me come back to you. Albert has clarified what he had said earlier about the CEDI. But the concern also is about increasing productivity, moving away from the Gettysburg economy. And my concern has been that this has been our bane. This has been our conversation all the time. Until when do we stop talking about this?
You see, from the side of the construction industry, it is about time for us to look domestically so that we add value to the materials that we have within our own soil. God does not make mistake by giving us such wonderful resources that we have today as a country. But the value addition is where the challenge is. We need leaders who can boldly come out with policy to at least man the natural resources heads on to make sure that we bring the entire country along and then mine whatsoever that we have within ourselves and then export the finished product. But today, what do we see? Everything is being exported, and we go and import the finished product from them. Thank God my good brother has joined us now. You see, so where we are now, if you continue on this tangent, there is no way as a country for us to break the events that we are trying to all achieve. So today, the reasons why the dollar is how do you call it, is breaking jail, has broken jail from the, how do you call it, the pocket of the IGPs and what have you, is as a result of what? Certain loose policies that we have not been able to put on the table holistically so that we interrogate the issues accordingly. If the manufacturing sector, what incentive are we giving them? Our, how do you call it, market operators, what incentive are we giving them? How many times do we engage them? If you engage them, what do we listen to their issues? These are some of the issues. They come, they give us the how do you call it, the teaching challenges, that what is pinning them so most in their closet. But after listening to these things, those in power, they go to bed forgetting about even what they have heard from the stakeholders. And that is where we are having challenges today, because most of these particular challenges we have been faced today is as a result of what certain leaders are not listening to certain recommendations coming from the players within the industry. We are in the industry. We know what exactly we can do to turn the fortunes, but we don't have that power to do so. So since you have been voted into power to turn certain fortunes, try to collaborate with the industry players so that we can do the needful. But until then, sincerely, we are not going anywhere.
Dr. Joseph Obin is the president of GUTA. He's live online with us now. Doc, if you can hear me, very good evening to you. And we started the conversation with the update from the finance minister about the performance of the city. He's saying that the city is quite stable now as compared to last year. If you could do the year-on-year comparison, last year we did about 20.7% as in the depreciation of the city against the dollar. This year, as of now, we're doing about 14.2%. And he mentioned some factors which have caused the pressure on the city: the strengthening of the US dollar itself by the US government, the seasonal forex demand, paid contractors, that's the government has paid contractors, IPP payments of about $400 million and so on and so forth. Albert thinks that, yes, government may not be doing too bad, even though there is a lot of room for improvement. And Imam thinks that the reality, as the Minister of Finance is painting, is not on the ground. We are not even seeing the impact of the perception that we were supposed to have seen when the former finance minister exited and the new finance minister came on. Doc, if you can hear me, let's have you now.
Yeah, so thank you very much. We are not statisticians. I guess you know that.
Yes, I know you're in the business field and yours is
we are traders.
To trade.
So all that we check. Yes, we are traders. So things that is for statisticians are for statisticians. And so what matters for us most is that the dollar was once stabilized around 12.5. And now the dollar is selling around 15.7 at the black market price, where most of us do our transaction. Because the way the system is, people find it more conducive, and we are more accessible to the black market, even more than the mainstream banks. And so we were having the last quarter of 2022, having our capital depleted over 50%. And then there seemed to be a stability along the way, 2023 to December, where this dollar, the CEDI stabilized for some time. We had the dollar around 12.5. So all seemed to go well for a good takeoff for businesses to recoup our losses of the previous year, only to come and face another loss of capital. Depreciation simply means loss of capital. And at this moment, we are losing around 23%, which does not augur well for the growth of businesses. And so this is affecting us very seriously, that we have to solve it. And we think that government have to inspire confidence into the system by mentioning its interventions and the policies that will let people bring out the money. People are storing the dollar, are buying the dollar as a store of value. And this is what is happening now because speculation is so rife for that purpose. And so we have to inspire confidence into the system to reverse the trend. Then, of course, if we have gone for IMF to ensure stability of our economy, then whatever it entails for us to get the third tranche of the IMF loan, we have to get it. So we have to fast track those things, IMF and our government together, so that we can have a full benefit of the IMF program. Otherwise, the way things are going is going to affect us and going to collapse businesses. Now, businesses are shrinking. Businesses, instead of growing, are shrinking because we are not able to buy the same volumes of goods that we used to buy. Because if I was able if my import capital is $100,000, and January I was able to buy with 1,200,000 Ghana cedis. Now I have to make a top up of about 370,000 Ghana cedis before I can get the same amount, because my 1.2 million cannot buy the same $100,000. If I'm not able to get it, what I have to do is to content myself with about $80,000, which the 1.2 million cedis can buy. It means that 20,000 of my capital has been spirited away. So if I have to buy the goods, maybe 2 containers, now I will only be able to buy maybe 1.5 containers, and that make my capital the law make me lose capital. One would think that we have to put this cost onto the customer. But you see, the business that we do not do in isolation. We do it with our customers. And that at which point, at which limit can our customers continue to absorb this cost that we are piling on them, especially when depreciation have eaten into their purchasing power. So in this case, they are unable to buy the volumes that they used to buy for us, and our turnover is curtailed. You know that business thrives on turnover. And so if our turnover is curtailed, what it means is that we are unable to service our debt with the banks. And then also, if we have suppliers, we cannot also pay our suppliers. So that's what it means when the exchange rate go up. So it's not in our interest even for us to increase the prices. Because when we increase the price, it has adverse effects on our turnover, which also affects us. And it doesn't hurt only the trading community. It also helps the manufacturers. Because the manufacturing inputs, about 90% is imported. All the manufacturing inputs that we see, the manufacturers use, are imported, about 90%. And then also to the farmers, the agricultural sector, because we do not farm like the old days where we use the hose only. Now we use weedicide, pesticides, and then machinery to turn the land. And so if all these things are also imported, that accounts the reason why when the items they put on the inflationary bucket, the foodstuffs and all that, also keep on going up. So when inflation, because the inflation that we are suffering now is a cost push one. So once the exchange rate have triggered the cost of doing business, it means that the next time around, they are going to announce that inflation has gone up.
Right.
When it goes up, it's also going to hit the cost of borrowing. So this is not an area that we have to toy with, that we have to find any possible way to solve the problem so that the nation can grow, businesses can also grow, consuming public can also have their respite and have their cost of living being manageable for them.
But Doc, let me ask you briefly though, because I'm coming to ask the researcher whether they think that the city will ever come down. We've had times where we expected and anticipated that at least it should come to maybe $1 to 10, 1 cedi to 10, or $1 to 10 cedis, and then rest there so that you can have some stability to do your businesses. But he had cited 2 major scenarios, including rise in prices and demand, where you have mentioned cost push, demand pull, and all of those ones, around the periods of February to May, the business community, the trading community, do you not perceive some of these things that during this period there will be more demand on the dollar, and so the rates would go up against the cedi?
Okay, so it means that our program is very structural. If we can predict that this thing happens at the end of each year, at the end of each year, so that one is also make speculation also go up, because when people can predict that okay, we are at the end of the year and that goods the forest is going to go up, then people will start also buying it as a store of value. So they are all very negative. So we have to find a way to solve what makes it structural. The masters of the economy are the foreigners, and that at the end of each year they have the right to repatriate all their profits. And
I
that's
agree.
what
That I very much
they
agree.
know at the end of each year. You know that we've been having balance of payment surplus for the past 5 years. Why is it that it does not trickle in in strengthening the local currency? It is not so because those who export the bulk of commodities, the most useful one, apart from cocoa, are all foreign based. And that when they send the oil, they send the bauxite, they send the manganese, they send the gold and all that, because they are foreigners, the money is retained there in their countries and it does not return to us. So when we said that we have balance of payment surplus, we have it in books. We don't have it in forests. And so we have to find a way that we can make a retention policy to make sure that the transactions that are done here, we have some that is retained for the nation, even for themselves. Of course, the money is for you, but then we have to retain it and then reinvest it. And then the nation also have to have its own retention by way of investment or equity.
All right.
Because it's not that we give the resources to them and then we don't have anything. Whatever we have in our resources, we can use it as an equity, our share of the business that we do with the foreign direct investors. But I think we give it all to them, and it's left with us with nothing. The commanding heights that were promised by our forefathers is gone. Now we have people who are trading the China Mall and then the Chinatown and all these Chinese people. They control about 40%.
I mean, what you're saying is what you're saying is very, very key and very important. When you go to the US, for example, you have, for example, Burlington, you have Target, you have Walmart, you have all of these big shops being run and controlled by US citizens and US government and so on and so forth. So, I mean, their currency is controlled by their people. Let me come to you, Albert, and I'll go to Emmanuel from here. Do you think that the rate will never come down?
Yeah, it may come down, but rather
to where?
Artificially, because of the expectation that the IMF is going to give us some monies. Of course, that is going to make the value a bit stronger, but that is not a solution to the problem we have. If we want to be honest with ourselves, I'll repeat that again. So yes, of course, it can come down, but I don't think it can be able to come back to 10 cedis. At best, it may come to around 12 cedis. That is by our prediction. So we only pray that when that money comes in, it's put to good use so that the expectation of the citizenry is met. Because as it is now, people are really, really struggling, and it's not looking very, very good. Yeah.
Let me come to you again, Emmanuel. I mean, you've listened to Doc, and before you comment on what Doc has said, I would also ask the question whether, I mean, for you as a business community and your expectations as well, you're expecting the cedi to rise up against the dollar, as in for the rate to come down? And to where, to which point?
Are you talking to me?
I'm talking to Emmanuel. Emmanuel, sorry, are you on?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, so I asked whether you listened to Doc, and
question
before you
again.
comment on that, whether your expectation for you as a business community in the construction industry, you are anticipating the rate to come down.
First of all, let me salute my good brother. Indeed, he's a brother thinking alike as well. Doc, good evening.
Thank you, sir.
We speak with the same wavelength because we understand the issues and we are on the field and understand what exactly the issues are.
Yeah.
So therefore, as if we have met and discussed anything, but whenever we are being put on spot on, we speak just as it is because we are part of the system. I must commend my brother, Dr. Joseph, for a good work, how do you call it, display being made so far. He has nailed the issues directly. And then there is nothing for us any longer to talk about because as we speak now, before the dollar or the forex comes down, what is the policy measures of the government of the day? Have you seen any policy initiative apart from depending on IMF, how do you call it, cash flows and what have you, syndicated loan that we are expecting somewhere October? Apart from that, there is no policy. So what exactly are we looking at? Thinking that the dollar will come down a bit further, or the CEDI will come up against the dollar is to be outrageous for me for now. But sincerely, until government comes out with a proper how do you call it, a policy that drives, that we know that these policies are geared towards production, geared towards arresting the loose ends within the economy, it will be very difficult for anybody to predict that the dollar to the CEDI will be, how do you call it, will come down. It will be difficult. Sincerely, as we speak now, apart from the money expected from IMF and the money expected from syndicated loan, sincerely, I don't see anything happening.
Right. Dr. Joseph Obey, I'm sure because of time, this may be your last bite, but do you agree with Mr. Emmanuel Cherry?
Yeah, I agree with him. Unless we have serious interventions that will inspire hope, as I said, and then policies that people know that these policies are workable, and that will make people not necessarily even to go and buy the dollar as to save as a money value money, save on money. Forgive me. And so, if we are able to inspire hope into the system, then definitely, like my brother Ima is talking, he also is very assertive and knows what he is talking about, because we are the practical people and we know some of these things. We have to work on this. And then, if you recall, when the dollar was at 12.8, I came out with a press release to caution government that we shouldn't sit down for the forest crisis in Nigeria trickle down to Ghana. And lo and behold, it didn't take us 1 week before the dollar reached 13.5, because they came to the neighboring countries, especially Benin, Ghana, and Togo, to buy the dollars. And you know, Nigeria is such a big economy, and that whatever effect that comes, that trickling effect comes on us. And so the trade of money along the sub-region, the cross-border trade of money, should be checked and controlled. The banks that are situated across the sub-region is networked so that if you put money in Nigeria, you can come and take the money here in Ghana, and they go straight to the black market, buy the goods, and sell it as if they are trading in commodities. If you are not able to check all these things, it's not going to help. And then the regulations of Bank of Ghana itself is not helping. Some of the regulations, like when we are transacting with the bank, they have to require some document. I think the bank is not doing auditing. of taxes. What they are doing is to know the movement of forests in the country, and so the stringent documentation requirement is not also helping. It put fear in most of the business community for them to not do business with the mainstream banks, but rather do business with the black market, the forest bureaus, and the rest, offshore trading. So even as a country, we do not know the actual volume of trade that we do in the forest.
Right.
I'm telling you, you can act. We don't know. So if we make the documentation requirement less stringent, then it means that people will feel free, comfortable, and transact through the mainstream banks, where the Bank of Ghana can dictate the rate rather than the black market dictating the rate.
All right.
This is one area they have not even think around.
Okay.
So unless we look at it comprehensively, and then make prudent solutions in all angles,
Right.
we are not going to see any major downfall. But I think we have to do the right things. Then
Right,
when we do right things,
right.
it is not going to be in perpetuity. It can also come down.
Right, thank you very much. Let me give you just 30 seconds to round it all up, and then we can run out of here.
Thank you very much. I want to say conclusively that it is very important government takes very concrete measures to be able to control the rate of the depreciation, because the temporary measures, the inflows coming from our donor partners is not a permanent solution. And if we continue like that, we are going to be in the same cycle all the time. So we have to really take ourselves serious and do what must be done. As we speak now, about 30% of our business people are going to Togo and Abidjan. And so it's all because of these challenges. So let us deal with it and be able to take care of ourselves and our economy.
Albert Derek Fiati was in the studio, the Executive Director, Center for International Maritime Affairs. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Emmanuel Cherry is the Chief Executive Officer, Ghana Chamber of Construction Industry. Dr. Joseph Obin is the President of GUTA. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us tonight. My name is Kwesi Efri, of course, your host for The Bottom Line. This is Metro TV. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Good evening.